So today we're going to put a bit of batten to the wall and then add a shelf to it. So we first of all drill 3 holes in our batten, 7mm holes into the timber with a wood drill bit, and one in the middle and 2 about 150mm in from the ends. So we now got the trusty dustpan and the spirit level, and we're now just going to hold the dustpan just underneath the drill and catch the dust. If you've got a lovely assistant, you may then just get them to hold the vacuum just underneath where you're drilling, and hopefully it will catch most of the dust. Oops, just get the camera, not a good idea. So I'm now going to continue to drill this into the wall, so it goes in about 75mm deep. It's sometimes useful to put a piece of sticky tape like insulation tape on your drill bit to get the depth right. So I'm now going to go into the wall about 75-80mm in total, because then that will allow room for the plug and for the 70mm number 5 screws that I'm going to be using today. So now, next thing is to hold the dustpan underneath the drill bit, and there we go. So first of all, drill your batten with a 7mm wood drill bit, then position it on the wall, making sure there's no pipes or wires or anything behind it, and then you can then drill through with your 7mm masonry drill straight through the hole that you've made in the timber into the appropriate position on the wall for the height of your shelf that you want, etc, etc. And then if you fit a number 5 70mm screw into one of these thinner, I go back now, we go into one of these long thinner brown screws which then fits through the 7mm hole on the timber, and then you put your number 5 70mm screw into that, and that will allow you to screw into a solid brick or breeze block wall. This is what we're doing today, we're fitting to a solid wall, not a cavity wall. The different rules apply to different things. So we're now homing on what I've done earlier. So this is now the plug partly through the batten with the 70mm number 5 screw attached. And then basically I just knock that through until it feels solid with my hammer. You'll hear, hopefully you may not from here, but hopefully you'll hear when you're doing it that the once it gets small, feels more solid in the wall, then you'll know that you've got a firm fixing. If you haven't got a firm fixing, then it's probably worth changing the position of your hole if you can. Excuse me wandering in front of the camera. Whether you can hear the difference then, but then at that point it becomes quite solid and there's more of a resonance, more of a difference in the sound, and then you know you've got a firm fitting. And then what we're going to do is to tighten that up just relatively loosely with our power screwdriver, and then put the spirit level on it and drill the remaining 2 holes. So I've now screwed the screw into the wall plug through the timber, and it's tight but not over tight yet, because we've now need some flexibility to move the batten to get it completely level with the spirit level. Excuse the shadowing on the wall, we've gone from bright sunlight into darkness again, but anyway, hey ho. So use the longest spirit level that you have in your toolkit that fits the size of space that you're fitting the batten to. With a better quality spirit level like this one, the key to it is to get the bubble right between the lines, but with this spirit level the bubble literally just fits between the lines when it's level. But some of the spirit levels that are cheaper, there's sometimes biggish gaps either side of the bubble before you get to the lines, so it's sometimes then pays just to make sure that the bubble is in the, if it's a cheaper spirit level, that the bubble is right in the centre of the space that's available. Right, having now got our centre screw in and the batten lined up with the spirit level, we're now going to drill the other 2 holes through the timber using our 7mm masonry bit, so as it goes through in a total depth from the outer edge of the timber into the wood by about 75-80mm, and then that'll give us a good fixing into this breeze block wall. Same rules apply for brick, but different rules apply for plasterboard. So this is just for solid brick or breeze block walls. That's what we're doing today. So put the drill bit into the hole and push it hard against the hammer action of the drill against the blockwork or brickwork, because then it won't move. So get the pressure on, start slowly start, and then gradually build up the speed. And we're going to go into the depth of, we've marked on our drill bit the depth of the hole we need with a little bit of insulation tape so as we don't go too deep. Also, don't forget to put your trusty dustpan underneath to collect the dust. And just put it into there, just knock it out gently so you don't knock it all over the floor. We've put our screw number 5 70mm screw into a long thin brown plug which fits through there. The beauty of drilling through the timber is that you can fix it straight to the wall without having to take the batten, cupboard, whatever off the wall and try and realign it afterwards, which can sometimes be quite difficult, and more often than not you miss the plug when you're trying to refit the screw, so this is quite a useful method. That's all nicely fixed to the wall and solid and still level, which is great. Now what we're going to do is just we'll put in the side pieces. On this side it's fairly easy because it's just going into some timber shiplap. So we just get that level with the spirit level and pop a couple of pre-drill the timber because otherwise it'll split, and we'll probably just use a 4 or 5mm wood drill for that this time, and then screw it into the timber shiplap level with the top of our existing batten. We've now started to fit the timber side bracket to the wooden shiplap, making sure that we've got the bubble between the lines on the little spirit level, and then just make sure that those 2 bits of wood, the tops are level, otherwise the shelf won't sit very happily on it. As you can see, I'll just put a 45-degree angle on the end of that little bracket just to make it a little bit less conspicuous. Now I'm going to do the other side, which in this instance is going to be attached to Freeze block again, so I'll do that, and then we'll be ready to fit our shelf. So there's a very substantial shelf fitted to a solid block or brick wall, whichever you prefer, but not a method for plasterboard this. So you've got the battens around the bottom. It's usually I use about 5 centimetres by 2.5 centimetres, something of that sort of thickness is ample to hold a shelf. This particular shelf is quite a thick hardwood shelf, so really doesn't need this huge support at the back, but this is really just for the purposes of demonstrating how to fix a batten to the wall. Usually what I do once it's all level and finished, I tend to put a couple of screws in the top shelf towards the back, and then it just stops it being pulled over by any young person or adult who's getting a bit excitable. Hockey cokey. It also makes a nice little place for the Harrods box to sit.